Can you hear me? Right, looks good. All right. Good. All right. And all right. Welcome, everyone. We're getting our stuff, our ducks in a row, if you will. Getting all of our buttons pushed.
Sorry about that, Eric.
I don't know what happened. It was just usually it lets me in, and this time it wasn't. I was on a different computer too, so that helped.
Test.
All right. I've got just 7 o'clock, so we'll give it just a couple minutes and we'll get going. If you haven't already, please put
Okay,
your
now
name.
go down and mute yourself. Go down and mute.
Where?
Right. See, it says mute. On the left-hand side.
Oh,
There you go.
If you haven't already, please highlight your picture with the 3 little dots in the upper right corner and name yourself with your name and your unit number. That would be awesome.
Hey, Eric, this is Doxy. Good to see you.
Yes, Doxy, hi, how are you doing?
I'm doing all right.
Good.
Hey, John, thanks for your help this afternoon. That was really good.
No problem. I'm glad we got that figured out. That's, I mean, I guess as an aside, while we're waiting to start the meeting, might be worth mentioning, Doxy had an Eagle Scout candidate send his application in. They hadn't, never bothered to put in the position of responsibility in the Scout book, and looks like that is now going to be required going forward. Sort of a FYI to put the position of responsibility in Scout book. So when the go to certify the application, it all everything gets checked in the computer, and there wasn't a way for us to fix it without the local unit fixing it, which was weird. So something to ponder for a moment.
So that what changes the statement that Scout book has never actually been required to be used, and now it is?
Well, you can use you can also use advancements.scouting.org and put it in that way. So I guess we're requiring you to use one or the other.
I learned that the Yankee Clipper does 0 electronic records, and they send a PDF to the council for everything. And they just had a quartermaster, and it looked like he had done no advancement. And they said, oh, right. We haven't had anyone do this in a while. So they signed a little paper form and sent it in, and it got certified.
Okay. Evidently,
was
sometimes
kinda-
Mary can put it in and sometimes can't, so.
I would love for them to be online. I would love for it to be required.
Yeah. But the cool thing, if you use Scoutbook, you can
Feel free to make another quesadilla.
print
if you
out
want.
a Eagle application straight from there.
Ooh, it is
so-
spicy.
Something spicy.
Ooh.
Someone's cooking. All right.
We'll give it just another minute. We're almost all here, looks like. I'll mention it again. If you only have like a first name up there and nothing else, please put in your full name and your unit number, like T122 or P382 or whatever it is your unit is. That way we can know kind of who's online with us. Please.
This is Steve Schwayan from Duwamish Troop 007
Great.
on the phone.
Oh,
All
okay.
right. Steve, I'm going to try and find you and rename you here.
Okay.
There's a lot of people on the call here, so
It's
you
one
might
in
be to.
Thanks, John.
0676,
Yeah.
is it?
Oh, Steve, you're 0676. All right, I found you here.
I'm 007.
Oh, yeah. Troop 007, but the last your phone number ends in 0676, right?
Oh, yes. Yeah, right.
All right.
I thought you were calling that the troop number. I'm sorry.
All right.
Tom Jacobi here. I put it in the chat because I couldn't find the path through the three dots. It took me to settings. So I Troop 8167 Scoutmaster put it in the chat.
Got it. Thanks, Tom. All right. I think we're almost ready to go. Tell you what, let's I got another 5 people to admit. Hang on, there's a few more coming. Let me get them to actually enter, then I'll explain what we're doing.
Eric, I can smash the button here for a minute while you get it going.
All right, sounds good. All right, great, everybody. Thank you for coming. My name's Eric Chastain. If we haven't encountered one another before, I'm the Seattle Territory Commissioner, and I'm the one who gets the opportunity to run roundtables like this. So we're going to be spending the next hour or so and talking about a bunch of different things. But before we begin, let us start with a flag ceremony, and I have a folder flag if everyone doesn't mind. Let's do our Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the
Flag
of the
United
United States of America and to the republic
for which it
which
stands,
it stands,
one
nation, under God, indivisible, liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Would anyone care to give us an invocation to start this soiree? The Wesley, go ahead, please.
Our Father in heaven, though we're in very many locations, we gather thee with thee through prayer, that we may unite together this evening in our common cause of better scouting in the Aurora, and Duwamish district here in the Northwest area. We ask for thy help and guidance that might be with our meeting, that we may be inspired and directed, and that we may go forward with the information received here this evening in order to accomplish better scouting. In the name of Jesus Christ, amen.
Amen. Thank you.
Thanks, Wesley.
All right, so what we're looking at today, there was an agenda that was sent out. I'm not going to read all the announcements, but there's just a couple ones that are somewhat important that may not have made it into the agenda or made it incorrectly. One is that there is a fall merit badge fair this the 28th of October, and I think there was not a workable link at the time. The one that we need to use is John, help me with it. It is seattlebsa.tentaroo.org. .org? Is that the one?
.com, yes.
.com.
Yeah,
Oh,
that one's a
.com.
.com, but yeah, I guess when Saffron's back in the office, she's going to put the link on the calendar and on the website and stuff like that. But the registration's up for the Merit Badge Fair. And once again, that is seattlebsa.tintaroo.com. I'll jot that in the chat here.
And just as you probably know, you will have to make a Tintaroo account. It's free, but you'll have to make an account to get in there, register, and actually see what merit badges there are. Wesley, did you want to say anything quickly about the event since you are sort of running it?
It's going to be really good. We've got the music merit badge. We have scouting heritage. We have electricity. We have digital technology. We have 2 citizenship of the nations. We have weather, and we have just 8 of them. Just look them up. With there's that many. I'm having trouble keeping track of it, but there's just some really opportunities. A lot of these merit badges have pre-required work. So what'll happen is when your scout logs into the merit badge they want to be in, then they will get a notification of what requirements might be needed. We're particularly happy to have a news person helping out with the weather merit badge, and we're offering aviation this year, which is the first time we've offered that, and so it should be really good, and they should have a lot of fun. And so let your scouts know, get them logged in, and get them signed up for those merit badges. Okay, they're going to be really good, and everybody can have a lot of fun. But log in, get the pre-requires done. And as soon as they log in, they should get an email back saying what pre-requirements the different merit badge counselors are asking. Okay,
Thank you,
and that's it.
Thank you very much, Wesley. Another thing is Craig Stebbins, who's one of the advisors with the OA. As you might know, the OA meets the same time we do, always in person at the Fairview Church. They're considering a dual virtual in-person meeting. They're going to talk that over, but he asked me to just let you know that for all Scoutmasters or those involved in troops, that they're working right now on the Order of the Arrow elections, and that you should be receiving an email from him or from Kelly Whitehead very shortly in the coming week or two about scheduling elections. So be looking out for that. And then finally, one thing that wasn't in our agenda is that coming up on the weekend of October 20th to the 22nd, that is Friday through Sunday, there is Jamboree on the Air and Jamboree on the Internet. And there's a link at the Chief Seattle Council website about that, or you can just look it up on the internet. And that is a cool thing, where the Jamboree on the Air, if you don't know it already, is scouts getting on with ham radio operators and different things like that. That takes a little more setup. However, Jamboree on the Internet, you can just have a scout with a nearby parent, of course, sign in and interact with people from all over the world. So one thing you get from that is there are a couple things that, such as the International Spirit Award, that is one of the requirements for earning that. Also, it's involved in the Citizenship in the World Award. So there's a few things that make it worthwhile besides the fun of it. So if you have any questions about that, send me a text or something like that, and we can find out more for you. All right, tonight we have a couple things going. In the main room here, John Padgett will be leading a discussion about Recharter 2023, the joys and pitfalls of rechartering this year. I think that's the actual title. So that's happening. John, you want to say anything about that?
Oh yeah, I'll be here for the that breakout, and we'll just stay right here in the main room and everything for that. And by the way, Eric, I've got some announcements for the good of everybody before we open up breakout rooms.
Why don't you go with them right now?
Fantastic. I'll do that. I just wanted to mention our membership's going well. We do need everyone here's help with that, especially in Cub Scouting. We are tracking basically same pace as last year here, and we'd still like to grow. We grew phenomenally last year, but of course that was coming out of the pandemic and everything. So if you looked at Cub Scout Journey to Excellence for this year, the national office finally sort of got a little clue. And if you look at that, it is started Tiger Den, start a Lion Den. If you start one of each with at least 5 or more, that'll get you gold on Journey to Excellence. So we need to keep growing from the bottom up. So just all the things we've been talking about of ways to invite families, and sort of at this point we can start leveraging some of those families that are in those Lion and Tiger Dens to invite other families, and there's some really good methods for doing that. So I want to thank everybody for making sure Scouts is really viable going to the future. So we need to start at those youngest age groups there.
Can I ask a question? This is Jim
Yeah.
Joke. Hey, John,
Hey.
Journal of Excellence, when is that supposed to be done? By January 1st?
Yes, and I'm going to go into the weeds on that a little bit and
Okay.
and tie that into the recharter talk
Got it.
here
Thank
too.
you.
So, but yeah, that's basically January 1st, thereabouts. There's a little more wiggle room on, and we'll explain some of those deadlines there. Share my screen for, there it is. I just put in the chat the Roundtable roundup, so you might want to grab that. That's got some short of some announcements, some really cool things that are coming up, including, a reminder that we still have some more time in the popcorn sale. We've got our auction, of course, program training conference. Everybody will find something to do there, and shooting sports days and a lot of other things. So make sure you grab that set of announcements there. I think it was also published in a newsletter. You'll find it there. So and the other thing I want to put on everybody's calendar that is here is Wednesday, November 29th. I don't have the time and I don't have the Zoom link, but we're going to do our Friends of Scouting coordinator training for our 2024 Friends of Scouting campaign that really kicks off right after that November 29th orientation there. So jot that on your calendars, and I want to thank everybody for doing a great job with Friends of Scouting for 2023. We are everything is at goal at this point, except for our volunteer time match gift campaign, so which really runs until December. So if you work for an employer that makes a volunteer time match grant, and you're a den leader, or you spent some time at summer camp, or even a mom or dad who helped drive to a camp out or something like that, that's sort of some free money that's sitting on the table and just takes a couple of buttons to push at your employer's employee benefits website there. So yeah, that's my list of announcements there. So I will find the stop share screen button.
Okay. One last thing before we break out. Are there any other announcements from anyone that's critical that is not on our agenda or that just came around recently? And anyone just yell out if you have something you need to say? No? Okay. The things we have going on tonight, besides the main breakout about recharter, is there is a Cub Scout breakout about joining night. And I think Stash, you're covering that. And also Jeff, you might be helping possibly. I'm sorry, Tim Denon. Sorry. Tim, you might be helping, I understand. And then in the Scouts BSA breakout led by Doug Bear, it's prohibited activities and what not to do, and because what the Scouts want to do, they can't do. So those are the breakouts. It is self-selecting. So when I say go, you can basically click on at the bottom breakouts and pick the one you want. And if you have trouble, I'll be in the main room for a while. Just let me know and I'll try to manually assign you. Okay. So I'm opening all the rooms now, and you should see them popping up somehow. At your leisure, go ahead and start selecting the room you'd like to be in. If you want to stay in the main room, all you got to do is stay where you are. We'll give this a minute or two to happen.
Okay, that didn't work out.
That's interesting. So if we're staying with John on recharter, we don't do anything, correct?
That's correct.
Don't do anything. Just hang out right here, Jim.
Yes.
And
I do it.
well, I'm going to give it a minute so people can push some buttons and stuff like that.
And again, if anyone has trouble, let John Padgett or myself, Eric, know, and we can assign you if you aren't where you want to be.
Right, fantastic. Well, we still got 36 people here. This is awesome. One of my goals I put for my job performance this year was to have a training for recharter, because when I came into particularly Duwamish area of the Seattle territory last year, we were still working on this way past the deadline and into February and everything. And I started in February, and it was just a little bit crazy. So, hey, thank you all for being here and making charter renewal as smooth as possible for your local Cub Scout pack, troop, Sea Scout ship, venture crew. I think we've gotten an Explorer post too. So I'm going to start with the really big nugget here. And we did in August 1, we did a huge, I'm trying to do two things at once. I'm going to drag a file into the message board here. If I, oh, almost. And why is this not working? There it goes. Nope. Why? Oh, here we are. That's why it's not working. Okay. All right. And share my screen. Boom. All right. So hopefully you see this file of the updated membership fees, and also see it on your screen as well as in the chat here. In August 1 of this year, the Boy Scouts of America drastically changed how they charge fees going forward. And if you've been around for a little while, you knew that everybody paid a prorated fee from the time they joined until December 31 of that year. And then about 2 years ago, they started charging brand new members that joined online a fee from the point that a prorated fee from the point they joined, and then all of the following year's fees. So how this is changing is at the point someone joins scouting, they are going to pay their all of their registration fees for 12 months. And so people are going to, all of our members eventually are going to have expiration dates that are January 31, February 28, and so on going forward. So, and then also on August 1, some of the fees went up a little. I think they all went up a little bit. So I'm just going to run down here. So if a brand new Cub Scout is joining today, and they want to get Scout Life magazine, that's $150, which is a little bit of a sticker shock, but when you divide that out, that's some like $12 something a month there. So anyway, so breaking that down, $80 a year for their national registration fees. There is a $30 council fee. We used to call that an insurance supplement fee, but it covers a couple other things besides insurance. So that's why Friends of Scouting is so important to keep that fee as low as possible. Then if they're a brand new member, they only have to pay this once, but there's a $25 new member fee, and that's only for new youth members, not adult members. And then Scout Life magazine, I'll just scroll down here so you can see that is $15 a year. So of course we want as many people to subscribe to Scout Life magazine. Don't cheapskate out on that, even though things are starting to get a little expensive, because that's one of the many things we can do to keep young people in scouting longer. I wouldn't have known that the Florida Sea Base existed had I not got Scouting magazine when I was a kid, and we sort of, you know, got it to put together to get a trip there and everything because we all thought it was pretty cool. So that's how we learned about it. So, any questions on the fees there and how they're changing?
Yeah,
So-
yeah, John. I noticed it says 80, then it's 50 and 60. What are those fees?
Oh, so we do have one Explore post. There's a lot of people on the call here. So is anyone here from our Exploring program? We've got one with Customs and Border Protection.
Yeah, this is Herman Bernal. I'm the lead advisor for Customs and Border Protection Post
Cool.
3001.
So this is actually beneficial for you. Welcome.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, so it's where youth members in all like our Cub Scouting, Venturing Sea Scouting program, those youth members are $80 a year. For our Exploring program, it's $50 a year for their youth fee. And then the $60, that's for registered adults. And I can make this a little bit bigger because I can see Jim Jokey peering into the screen there. So yeah, so that's $60 a year for adults. We talked about the council fee, new member joining fee. One thing that's new this year, there is, if you're just registering as a merit badge counselor, that's now $25 a year. Sort of the impetus behind that, we are doing the absolute best job of any organization that serves youth of protecting youth. So just a comprehensive background check that you pay for, $25 doesn't even cover that. And I think you get background checked about every other year, if I remember right. So there's now a counselor fee. So that used to be free, but now it's $25 to be a counselor. So hopefully that doesn't hinder
So if they're
too many people.
registered if they're registered with the troop, it'd be 50 and 25, $75.
No, actually, if you hold a unit level volunteer position, you can then multiply register as a merit badge counselor for free. So folks like, for example, Eric, who's on the call, who's unit commissioner, merit badge counselor, assistant scoutmaster and stuff, Eric only has to pay that adult registration fee of $60 annually once a year. And then and we'll go into the weeds a little bit on how you pick your multiple registrations here too. So yep. And just a reminder, yeah, every year you pay an annual fee. And just like my membership to Evergreen Mountain Bike Association, I think I started that in March years ago. And before every March, I pay them $50 or whatever it is, and they send me some reminders. And we don't know what those reminders are going to look like, but I understand, about 2 months out, families going to start getting some email reminders, and there'll be an opportunity to pay those fees online there. And as unit leaders, I don't know who exactly it's going to get. I imagine the key 3 of each unit will get some summary reminders as well. These are the folks that are going to be falling off your roster here in February or August or whatever it is, if they don't get on it. So you can poke them on your end as well. All right. Let's see here.
John, can you I guess walk through the timing aspect of that some more? I don't really understand what the change is based off of.
Yeah, it's good, and I'll cover that in a little bit more detail as it relates to timing on charter renewal here too. But sort of going forward, just to recap again, and maybe someone else can summarize a little bit better than I can. But any member that joined since August 1 of this year, let's say they joined in the month of August, their membership is going to then expire on August 31 of 2024. And so leading up to that, they're going to get some reminder, their family's going to get some reminder emails as unit leaders, you guys will get some reminder emails or some summaries of that. And so they'll fall off your roster if they don't pay their registration renewal before the end of August. And of course, they can come back on board anytime there. So, but you won't be able to, just sort of like it is now, you won't be able to mark their advancements and stuff like that too, and they won't be insured in the program.
So in the past, they've been paying the dues to the pack or the troop, and then we do pay it through. So you're actually going to be charging them all throughout the year. And will we know? I don't know. This is a pretty big change. So for a charter, we don't pay any money.
Yeah, you will be paying some money. Now, some of this, as I get into the weeds of charter renewal, all of those folks that we're sort of transitioning the system here. So all of those folks that currently have a December 31, 2023 renewal date, you will, sort of like you have in the past, if you're used to that, you will mark them for renewal on your charter renewal. You're going to collect their registration, national registration fees, local council fees, Scout Life magazine fee locally, and give us one check or a credit card for all of those as you finalize your charter renewal. So I'm going to go into some more detail on that, but Jeff, was that your question?
I mean, I maybe we'll figure out some more later, but like, yeah, I mean, I have people joining like in November.
Yep.
Right. Like, and so then they're part of a like their expiration date of their membership is a different time than the other people that joined at the beginning of the year now.
Correct. Yes. So if you have a family joining in November of 2023, they're going to have an expiration date of November 30th, 2024. And when you go into your recharter, you will see that member has been prepaid there, and they're just going to be automatically listed for renewal. And then I see you've, go ahead, Jeff.
I was going to say, yeah. And then in the future, when they need to renew, they're going to be at a different date. So like they're not part of our recharter and they'll be doing their own payments forever now.
Yes. Going forward after this recharter cycle, yes, they'll be doing that a little bit on their own with maybe a little poke from you as one of their unit leaders there too.
And like, then they have the ability to say like opt out of Scout Life and whatever, because it's all their own personal little purchase. And then if we collect troop dues on top of other things, and we have to collect that out of band with our charter renewal now.
Correct. Yeah. So what this online registration currently doesn't collect local unit dues. That might be something that comes in the future, but we cannot do that at this point. So that's one thing. Oh, there's another part of your question. State your question again, Jeff. I just lost my train of thought.
Yeah, I guess the other was just like they'd be stuck as their own renewal process and not part of charter, like for the rest of their career, right? Then
yes. Yep. And then looking into sort of foreshadowing next year's charter renewal, you'll just go through, make sure that you've got the required adult leadership. All those folks are current on their youth protection training, and that you've got all of the youth members that you expect to have. And then as you then the charter organization is going to approve the recharter. And then at that point, you're only going to, I'm not sharing my screen there, but there's a unit charter fee, $100 per unit annually. So that'll be the only thing you pay at that time in 2024. All right. That cover that, Jeff?
I have a question, John.
Let's hold on just a second. Ben's got his hand up there. So Ben, you want to jump in there?
John, I wonder if you could state again what the transition date is. I understand that people who joined before a certain point, we need to collect dues for and include that payment in recharter.
Yeah.
And then if they go after a certain date, we don't.
I've got some slides that I'll go through on that. So that'll make that a little bit more clear as I move forward here.
Thanks, John.
Yeah. All right.
But
Go ahead,
just one
Jim.
quick question, John. It sounds to me like if we're all used to recharting January 1, that all the people that are still in the scout troop will still do charter 1. It's the exception is going to be new boys that come in after August. Otherwise, the system's going to be the same. The checks are going to come in January 1/24 for the whole unit and all that good stuff. It's just the new boys that come in or be part of this new action. Does that sound right?
Correct. Yeah, you've got that. They're going to be marked as prepaid on your charter renewal. All those that have joined since August 1. All right. I am going to drop into the chat. Let's see if I can do this. Oh, actually,
Hey,
I
John,
got to hit the.
I had a couple questions for you.
Yeah, go ahead.
So, do you have a timeline for when we're going to be able to collect local dues through this system? I'm part of a fairly large subscription business, and you're effectively turning this into a 2 subscription business. And I suspect the friction that's going to be introduced by this will be significant. And so what I worry about now, there's 2 systems that there's 2 groups that any given scout family has to be concerned about paying. And then also, and this is sort of part and parcel, my second half of my question is like, what kind of controls do we have around national pricing or like marketing to justify it? Because I can foresee a world where if I'm talking face to face to somebody and they're saying, hey, here's what's going on and this is why this is valuable, et cetera. And then they joined over the summer and I don't see them over the summer. And that's when national decides to double the prices because whatever. And they go, it's not worth it to me. Right. So it's like we've got a disconnect between the people collecting the money and the people who are the face of the organization trying to market to our customers.
Yeah, I totally get you. Yes, though we've got, you know, our national organization collecting national registration fees. Honestly, you know, a lot of that goes, not all of it, but a lot of it pays for liability insurance for our organization. You know, we're one of, you know, I'm president of a community sailing center, and just even that tiny organization, I think we pay $10,000 a year. Most of it's liability insurance, and then a small amount of that is fleet insurance for, you know, 15 small sailboats. So, you know, that's where a lot of that goes there, you know, and we're doing a lot to, a lot of that goes into background checks of volunteer leaders, and there's a lot of other resources you get from the National Council, you know, including some.
Sorry, I think maybe I asked my question maybe a little imprecisely. My question is like, so what this means is National is going to solicit every year for a renewal to our scouting families. Is there a plan at time of renewal request to say, and here's what all your money got you? Because without that, particularly if we do a price increase next year, similar to what we did this year, this system will generate attrition.
Yeah. I know that every time they raise the fees, they always publish some stuff in the newsletters of sort of where that money goes to. So if you should probably be automatically subscribed to Scouting Wire, and you can find those articles when those fee increases came out there.
Okay.
And so that they list some of the resources there.
Just as feedback to pass up, I would tell whoever's running this that like, if you're going to be collecting the money from them directly, there's going to have to be some communication that goes directly to the people you're asking for money.
Exactly. Yeah.
And honestly, when did they announce it? August 1st. And then the fee increase was August 1st. So it's like, was there any warning? No.
Yeah. Yep. So we'll, and yes, finish your question, Monte. Local unit dues, you're going to have to communicate that with your family and have a system for collecting those. There, I will mention in passing, a lot of people have a lot of different ways to do that. With Scoutbook, there is a PayPal plugin, and there's some tools in there for tracking who's paid and invoicing people and stuff for local unit.
I'm less concerned about the mechanism. It's just that we've now instituted a secondary subscription program required to be part of this in you know, and I think about all the busy families that I represent, and now we're making it harder, less controlled, potentially more expensive. And so for volunteer leaders who are trying to hold this all together, you've got this, you basically created this medical system. And so again, like my previous point, I think I beat to death, but like, if we can get a timeline where, hey, at the time that you do your renewals, you can also pay your local dues, or there's some sort of, we send up to national, here's what we need. And so then it comes back down or something like that. It's just, we're going to lose people through this change. And it's, you know, the reducing friction will help the org.
Yeah, and I think one way to look at it too, I think a lot of people is, hey, you know, I'm a volunteer. I don't want to be the bill collector. And so I guess our national council's taking on some of that and automating it.
They're saying we will also be a bill collector, not you don't have to be a bill collector.
Yeah, cool. All right. Let's see here. Jeff, you've got your hand up.
Yeah, I mean, I guess I just wanted to like double down on what Monte was saying. I'm certain we're going to lose people over this like change in timing. Part of it, like right now we pay for all our adult volunteers. Like we roll the like cost of the adults into our scouts fees. Now that's going to be a separate thing that the adults are going to be just like given and stuff. I'm not sure I've like super in love with this rollout. I know it's not really your choice, or your hands are tied too, right? So
yeah,
a way to like roll up that, you know, we have some concerns about attrition. Like I think we will have some.
Yep. All right, I'm gonna write a couple of notes here. Yeah, since I'm getting some feedback, just give me a second to write down some of this here. And then I guess one other thing there, Jeff, that you mentioned is yeah, a lot of local units will help out a family that needs a scholarship, or you know, pay for their adults, and that's going to be a little bit more challenging, and we'll probably have to be a little creative and maybe have them do their renewal at a meeting and use the unit's bank card or something like that if you want to keep doing that. But I did want to mention that at Chief Seattle Council, we do have some funds set aside from Friends of Scouting and some other donors to help young people to reduce their barrier to entry to the program there. So if you need to renew a scout, just or get a new family on board, since the online registration system sort of expects the family's going to pay with their bank card, we can do that with a paper application. Just send me or Tim Danner that paper application with a request for some help with registration assistance there. So we're
John, you have a couple hands raised. There's
yeah, I do.
Dave Burdett, then Tom, and then Jeff Tinnea again.
Yeah, go ahead, Dave.
John, thank you. Is it possible for you to send out some written material reiterating for us who is going off the rolls when and at what time the various people are supposed to pay the national for their renewal? And I don't want to make you reiterate it, and then probably everyone else here has already understood what you said, but I didn't. So if you could like send that out in writing, and maybe even with a little chart, that would be appreciated.
Yeah, and that is in the charter renewal guide here, and I'll highlight as I go through that. I'm trying to. Oh, there we go. The charter renewal guide is now in the chat there, so you've got some instructions. I don't see any other hands up on the screen.
There is.
Here.
There's Tom. What unit are you with, Tom?
That's sort of weird.
186. Okay.
Go ahead, Tom. I can't see you, but there's a lot of people here.
I was on the web, and the New York Greater Councils give you the option of having the troop being billed, and National just takes the money directly out of the troop account and we do the collecting. Seems to solve the problem we're talking about. And is that something only New York can do, or is that something the Seattle Council could do?
I'm not aware of that, so I will ask about that. So that was which New York Council?
It's called the Greater New York Council. I'll send you a PDF of their FAQs for.
Okay.
Because we're
I'm not aware of that.
We pay for the adults and we charge, and it's going to be a disaster if they get double billed. It's just not going to work.
Yep. All right.
Jeff Tinnea, did you have another question? You had your hand raised briefly. Jeff?
Might have been giving me a thumbs up. But...
Yeah, I was just on a thumbs up.
Okay, hey, real quickly, John, I had a question, John, very quickly. If you have, say that you have adults who have paid in your troop, for instance, local dues, and their national dues lapse, will you be told that as a unit person, or will only that family know? Is there a communication between, say, the unit, the council, and national for knowing who is actually still legal and who isn't?
Yeah. My understanding is both parties, the local unit leaders and the scout and their family, are all going to get renewal reminders.
Okay.
And we haven't seen these things because they're not going to roll out until next summer. So we don't know exactly what they're going to look like yet. No one knows yet, but that's our understanding, is they'll probably about 2 months out, you'll start getting some renewal reminders.
Hello, John.
Yeah. Hey, Steve, go ahead.
So I was listening. It sounds interesting. So getting back to the nuts and bolts. So what's the first? Let's just go steps 1, 2, 3, 4. So what's the first step?
So yeah, I'm going to run through that here in just a sec.
Oh, okay.
Let's
I'm sorry.
Yeah, I've got a whole presentations planned, and some of it we're jumping ahead, but that's okay. And I really wanted to bring up this sort of change here so we can wrap our brains around it. And of course, change is always hard. And I think Mark, you had your hand up. Maybe it went back down there.
Yeah, I was just going to ask, which you may be covering in upcoming slides, but I was curious what the grace period was for before people get kicked out. What's their note?
I think it's going to be, I'm not aware of a grace period, so I think it's just going to be when their membership expires.
Okay, so if they're due in August, and they don't pay by August, they'll get dropped.
Yeah, they're gonna, yeah, and they'll fall. Yeah, I don't know if there's going to be a grace period or not. So.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. All right, I'm gonna go ahead and share the screen here, and here are my notes. Let's actually, so as we start preparing for charter renewal, one of the things you want to do, and everybody's been doing a great job of this, is making sure that everybody that's in scouting is registered and such. And, especially our Cub Scout packs, everybody's in the season of inviting new families here. So I just wanted to go through, hopefully everybody's familiar with my.scouting.org. And if you're a Key 3 or Key 3 delegate, you got some more tools in here. But one thing to do will be to go ahead and look at your roster here. And of course, I've got the entire council here, so bear with me. I'm just going to pull up some random unit like Ben. Is it okay if I show Pack 100's roster?
Yep, that's totally okay.
All right. So here's Pack 100's roster. They've got 8 pages of youth and adults, and I've got almost 80 members between youth and adult members there. And so you can go through and you can look at this in Scoutbook, and there's a number of ways that you can look at this. But wrap your brain around, is there someone that isn't registered, especially those brand new families that are thinking about joining scouting? Let's do a good job of making sure that they become members there. So just want to show you where your roster is there. Then you're going to want to make sure that you going into the next charter year, that you have the required leadership for each unit. So how it's pretty simple. I don't have it written down here, but it is in the Charter Renewal Program. Will go through that with you. You know, it's published everywhere. So each unit needs a chartering organization representative. If you happen to be one of the units that's chartered to the Chief Seattle Council, there's a council charter representative. It's basically the same position. So you need one of those. That individual is the only other positions that they can multiple into. They can also be a committee chairperson or a committee member, but they can't be one of the unit leaders. So that's one position. You need a committee chairperson, and you need 2 committee members, and then you need a unit leader. So that's Cubmaster for Cub Scout Packs, Scoutmaster for Scouts BSA troop, then venturing advisor for venture crew, Sea Scout skipper for Sea Scout ship, and then for our Explore post, that is the post advisor. If you happen to be involved in a Cub Scout pack, at minimum, you need at least 1 den leader, you know, but don't just register 1 den leader because it's cheaper, because all those den leaders have some extra liability insurance from their registered position there. So make sure you register all your den leaders. If you've got, you know, 5 dens, and register 5 den leaders, hopefully some assistant den leaders. So, but you do need to make sure you meet the minimum requirements for adult volunteers. Now, those adult volunteers that you're looking at continuing into 2024 after you push the button on your charter renewal, all of those individuals need current youth protection training. And so I'm going to go here to training manager. I'll just pick random unit in Duwamish here, and I will pick pack 8 here. And then you can pull a report for youth protection training there, and you can see right from the little red dot there. Oh, come on. Don't do this to me. Actually pull up the report. It's probably going to make me log out and log back in. So if this ever happens to you in my.scouting and it stops working or something, just log out and log back in. So once again, that was in training manager. And then if you're only involved in 1 unit, then you'll see your unit right there. So you can see that right now they've got 80%, 83% of their leaders are compliant with current youth protection training. So that's got to be all renewed as you do your renewal here. But then, yeah, then you can get a whole report here just for youth protection training. And you can see that the Cubmaster's not current on youth protection training. And if I scroll over here, I can see that their youth protection training expired back in July there. So that's another, as a charter renewal processor, you can help with poking, although they should have been getting some automated emails and stuff like that, you're going to have to help with some poking on that there. So that's where you're going to find that. Also if we, you can look here and you can see that this particular unit, 50% of their leaders are trained for their position here. And so you can do that. No longer required that all of your direct contact leaders are trained for their position, but it's certainly highly encouraged. So you can look at that there. So anyway, moving forward, just make sure all of those youth members, special youth members, and if you need to get some more adults on board, have them start working on their registration there. So a couple of ways that you can start the registration process. is folks can go right to beascout.org. Oh, there it goes. And then you can just search for your unit in your neighborhood. And let's say if I just wanted to join the Cub Scout pack in my neighborhood. It looks like I can't.
It's been redacted.
Evidently.
Yeah.
Then I would got nothing. Of course it's not going to work when I want to do a demo. But they could go to be a scout. That's one way they could do that. You could send in a paper application to our office with their fees, but there should be an apply now button here. Another way, there's a bunch of ways that you can send someone an application. You can go to application manager here. And so if you're not aware of this, under invitation here, these are all of the new invitations we've got to join scouting here. So your key 3 members and your registration inquiry designee in your unit, they get reminder emails that someone's requested a little bit more information on joining scouting. So I'm going to pull up one of these that's open. So you can keep some notes in here and sort of track them until they're members. And then while you're having this conversation about them joining here, when the time is right, you can hit this button that says send application right there. And if I drill down here to a specific unit, for example, pack 100, I can grab that registration link from here. So if I'm sending someone an email, there's a bunch of different ways you can do that. So yep, make sure that they're all on board there. And then yeah, start collecting some fees now for all those folks that have that December 31 expiration date. So when you finalize your recharter, you can send the local council the fees, check, credit card there. So that's a big thing to do. So Jake, you got a question there. It's like popped up.
Yeah, here. So I guess in the chat, were you going to drop, was there written guidance on who is required to pay?
That's Eric.
Hello.
Hey, Eric.
You're pushing some buttons about recording, huh?
I don't know. I'm not sure.
Well, also don't forget that unless they're 18, certain power tools are not to be used. But by the time they're 18, they're out of scouts, but they could be in venturing but they don't, they think that the chainsaws and the log splitters or wood chippers are probably not a good idea. You know, radial arm saws, chop saws. Now, when a scout activity, I can understand that when you're in your own home with your own scout, that's a different story. It depends on what you want to introduce them to for power tools.
Now, there's something I've seen. Most scout camp kitchens, almost everyone I've seen has a meat slicer. And it's actually state law. In Washington State, you're not allowed to operate a meat slicer unless you're at least 16.
Okay, I was not aware of that, but that's all right.
Yeah.
I mean,
and I don't want to get near them myself. I hate those creep me out because I'm mostly meat. So
there you go.
I had a question that the scout of mine asked this week. I think he's got a career as a future attorney because he was trying to find a way around a prohibited activity. One was he's a patrol leader, wanted to bring his patrol to what's that shooting game, something soft,
Airsoft.
And I said, we can't do that because that's prohibited. You can't do that. He says, can we have the patrol go out as non-scouts and just have fun together as a group of guys? And I said, Probably not, but I don't know. So,
Back to the don't ask, don't tell.
I
I
know.
think that's don't ask, don't tell. Yeah.
And if there were if there's no permission slips being signed with the trooper patrol name on it,
right.
Yeah.
I mean, it
Yeah.
does get into, are they tight buddies on the side already?
They kind of are, and so I'll let him know something.
Yeah, this has actually come up at scout meetings when I've been there, and scouts are trying to they're suggesting things that they know they can't do, like airsoft and paintball and stuff like that. And I said, you can do it, but it can't be a troop activity. Can't have anything to do with scouts. And I usually, when that comes up, I usually let all their parents know that they're discussing this sort of thing. As long as the parents know that they're doing it and it's not a troop activity, do whatever you want.
And I would be sure not to go along on this. I would be absent from that activity. So
Yeah, I wouldn't be involved in anything like that.
Especially with your uniform on.
yeah, there's that. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. I didn't think that needed to be said, but yes.
And then if any mishaps happen, the BSA insurance doesn't even cover anything of that. So it's
Or your chartered orgs insurance or your personal insurance or yeah.
Okay.
Well, that's what they're concerned with, is that, you don't want some adult to lose their registration, or even the charter organization to lose it because we're doing some activity that's prohibited. They don't want us messing around with fireworks or making their own explosives unless you get a licensed certified person that's doing a fireworks show. That's a total different thing, but we're not involved.
Yeah.
We're just viewing. They don't want to produce games like water chugging or hot dog eating contest. And I had to think about water chugging, and I realized, oh yeah, that's for kids. I was thinking of us older ones when we were in college. It wasn't water.
Yeah, I was going to say.
Yeah.
About 15 years ago at Parsons, it was Kiski chugging at the Beach Bonanza.
Oh.
One year.
What chugging?
And, yeah, Kiski.
What the heck is that?
Kool-Aid.
That's the brand they used to use years ago. The concentrated mix to make lemonade or orange drink or cherry drink or whatever. And the night that was happening, the kid that won the contest then hurled about 3 minutes later.
No kidding.
So somebody figured out that was a bad thing to be sponsoring at camp. They didn't do it again the next year.
In glorious color.
Who cleaned up the mess?
I have no idea. It wasn't my troop.
It was probably outdoors.
It was outdoors. It was by the waterfront on the gravel.
Well, fun as they want to do stuff, but you got to be careful. But so just when you're planning activities, just think about, what are they trying to do? What kind of risks? There's a little thing called a safety pause. Well, just before you do something, last minute, do a safety check. Is this is everybody on board? Do they have the right equipment? Do they have the right age appropriate activities? What kind of hazards can happen, So just make sure that on the safety list, you got the supervision, that they're qualified. You've got the assessment, is the weather right? You've got the equipment, you plan safe travels, you got the right drivers. Don't forget the fitness and skill. So some kids aren't able to do a 50 miler, so you don't want to push them. In other words, then maybe this isn't they're not the right age or the right size. There may be a young kid that's already, 6 foot tall, but he's young, but he can handle something. That's a different story. But maybe some have health issues, just want to be sure with what's going on with health issues. And make sure the right equipment when you're doing these activities, that the equipment fits the scouts, whether it's helmets or whether it's harnesses or
life jackets.
Life jackets, correct. So that's important too.
There's something else. If if you're out with your troop and there's an accident, injury, somebody cut their finger, somebody burned themselves, somebody got a cold injury, whatever, there's going to be an investigation. There's going to be reports and stuff like that. But it's important, and Boeing takes this really seriously. If there's a near miss, there's nothing happened, nobody was injured, but it was a close call. Like somebody threw a rock and it almost hit somebody, or somebody, a head flew off an axe while they were splitting and it like flew in across the campsite. It's important to take note of that sort of stuff and to talk about it at the time, or maybe at the next troop meeting after the outing. And so everybody knows about it. You ask questions. How did it happen? What can we do to keep it from happening in the future? Near misses are really important to consider.
I agree.
Yeah.
It's easy to forget about it. Easy. Well,
Pass that one on. So just things to think about. So I don't know if anybody's else got any questions, or if they're just, anything to add.
I don't know if you can possibly hear me, but I haven't been able to hear you folks very well. Our troop just has gone through a very interesting way of looking at family life, and the Scouts got an awful lot out of it. And I just thought I'd mention it to you folks. It sounds like a very simple merit badge and all, but Scouts, I think, learned an awful lot just in thinking about how to communicate with their families. So I just kind of wanted to throw that into the meeting tonight and let everybody hear it, if you can even hear me. So I've heard a few words of almost everybody's sentence, but I don't get the whole sentence. So, thanks a lot for what you've been doing. Thanks.
Yeah, we hear you, Lee. We hear you.
I have one little announcement that I forgot to mention at the very beginning. For any of you who were at the district meeting last week, we had put out that the Evergreen Washelli Cemetery was having the Veterans Day flags, and I think we mentioned it was Saturday, but it's not. It's on the observed Veterans Day of Friday, not the actual Veterans Day. It's at 10 a.m. So if you want an easy hour of service hour for your Scouts, you can show up before 10 o'clock, 9:30 to 9:45, and get ready. And they put American flags on all these service members' headstones. So
What's the date on that, Eric?
That is November 10th, a Friday at 10 a.m.
Ooh.
I know I have to work. That's not a holiday for me, but for some of you, if that's a day off, and it's a school day off for sure for the Seattle Public Schools. So it's at about 115th and Aurora Avenue North, and just pull into the seminary and park along one of the roadways there, and they meet right where all the white military headstones are. And there's usually some kind of, often there's a bagpipe band. There's usually a few high-ranking officers. There's a few things that happen there. Just thought I'd mention that.
And what was the starting time again?
10 o'clock in the morning. I know what our troop has traditionally done is to go to IHOP beforehand, have pancakes, and then go do the flags. There was a time when it was like at 8 o'clock in the morning, and so we do the flags, then the pancakes, but they've made it a later time now. So 10 a.m. is when the flag thing starts, and there's an actual service they're running at 11, run by a minister and some other things.
Krispy Kreme afterwards up there, just up there in 120.
There is that.
Cool.
I have a question. Is this kind of, did we open this up for?
We're open.
In January, there's supposed to be a wilderness first aid class, but it's not on the Scout calendar yet. Maybe it's just not on there yet.
It is actually January 20th and 27th, a Saturday. It is going to be from 8 to 5, each of those Saturdays, at Ballard First Lutheran Church. That's 2006 Northwest 85th Street. Or I'm sorry, 65th Street. So
Okay, great. Well, I look forward to that. It's super convenient, and I haven't done that class in a little while, and I'm going to get my my scouts to do that. So I look forward to the sign up.
you can always check with Steve Pierce. He's one of the ones running it. So is Jeff Ammons, I believe he is, and yeah, there's a couple others. Jim Joki is one of the ones that runs it. So,
Eric, do you know what the cost is for that?
I thought it was like $25 just to pay for the book, because
Yeah,
they have
it's
to
not
buy
much.
these. They have to buy these books, but they don't charge anything more than the book price. I thought it was 25, but I might be off by $5 or $10. So,
Thank you.
you bet.
FYI, when I did wilderness first aid last, they required CPR.
That is a separate one, so that you have to have be current on CPR. It's best to get that done before the wilderness first aid, but it's not necessary. But that is part that is not covered in the wilderness first aid time frame. It's
Yeah, but to be certified in wilderness first aid, like if you want to go on a 50 mile or something, you have to have CPR, or else you don't have wilderness first aid.
Correct. Yes.
Yeah, you're right. And I'm telling my guys to get that, before January. Yeah.
Yeah. In recent years, the district has put on a CPR class as well. So check with Steve or keep an eye out for that.
Traditionally, it's been the December roundtable, though
Okay.
I haven't heard yet this year if that is the case. So it might well be.
And then I found when I did my WIFA recertification last spring that the district was fine with letting you take the certification class, but you didn't get your card until you sent in your CPR if it was after the fact. And my CPR was a couple of weeks later. So it all worked out after I got the CPR card taken care of.
And the whole thing only lasts for 2 years before you need to renew. So I know mine is just run out. So I need to think about redoing it.
And it's a great value, and even if there's a nominal charge above that $25 to get wilderness first aid through Scouts for 50 or 60 bucks every 2 years. In the marketplace through REI and other vendors that offer it, it's between 200 and 250 the last time I was looking. So it's and even different councils are charging more. I was going to look at, I had to research last year for some other group I'm on, and as well as BSA, and I was looking at taking it up at the council up to the north of us there up by Bellingham, and it was going to be 140 or 150 to take the class. So Chief Seattle districts have been great about keeping it under $100.
That's good. Well, that's about all I've got. Is there anything else anybody wants to talk about or bring up?
Doug, I wonder if you could consider a future breakout topic would be visiting Philmont.
Repeat that.
A future breakout topic could be visiting Philmont.
Oh, visiting Philmont.
For adult leaders or scouts
or just talk about what is necessary to go to Philmont.
Yeah,
talk about Philmont itself.
I mean, I'm doing all the YouTube and I'm reading these books and all this kind of stuff. 121 is going to Philmont in August 2024, and I've never been. And